Hello, everybody. This is Svetlana from the coordination desk of Sustainable Tourism Program. Thank you so much for taking your time and connecting to this webinar. I know it's Friday afternoon, so we will do our best to be as rapid and efficient as possible. So thank you so much for taking some of your time to invest in this portfolio exercise. As you know, it's not the first year we are doing this. We've been doing this already for 2 previous years. This year, only our MAC members were involved. Some of them are connected here today. And last year, we involved the whole network, and it was a great success. So we are super excited to start this new exercise for all of the activities and projects that you all developed and implemented this year. So just for a brief reminder, why are we here all today? What is portfolio? So portfolio is a tool for program actors, to all of you, to include new and ongoing initiatives and activities under the umbrella of our program, our Sustainable Tourism Program, because of the potential of these activities to advance sustainable consumption and production. So basically, it's a tool that allows us to show the global impact of all of our members in terms of sustainable development goals, in terms of reporting to Economic and Social Council of United Nations. And also for us, it's extremely precious tool to be in your service, because how can we advertise what you're doing worldwide? How can we develop communication materials and write articles about what you're doing, or advertise one expert to another if you don't know exactly what is content of your activities? So this is what the portfolio is for. We are really using it to know you better. So thank you once again, and really hope that you will find this time investment useful for you. So why this meeting today? So Sophie Clausen from the TENWAFP Secretariat, she took several months of her life this year to develop a very user-friendly online tool, reporting tool that is hosted on the Clearinghouse website. So as I just mentioned, the tool is extremely user-friendly, very easy to use. But as everything new, there is a need of some time to adjust, to adapt. So we thought it would be useful to present this tool to you so that you can see directly yourself how you can report your activities and your projects rapidly and bring to our knowledge and to the knowledge of the whole network all of your contributions to sustainable consumption and production in the tourism sector. So I'm passing to Sophie, and if you have questions in the end of your explanations, we will open an exchange session with you, and we'll be really happy to answer to all of your interrogations.
Thank you, Svetlana. Just to introduce myself quickly, my name is Sophie Clausen. I'm the Monitoring and Reporting Analyst with the TENWAFP Secretariat here in Paris. I'm going to go through with you today the indicators of success, which is the monitoring and reporting framework of the TENWAFP network. And I'm going to go through also the technical tool that Svetlana just talked about as well through the FTP Clearinghouse. I just want to highlight one thing that I think is especially important to the Sustainable Tourism Program and U.S. partners is this is not a new exercise for you. This is building on the portfolio exercises that you have done the previous 2 years and simply putting it into an online platform and hopefully through that facilitating an easier process for you. So you don't have to fill out Word documents, emails won't have to go back and forth. Everything can be done within the tool, and you can even edit your submissions afterwards. And I'll go through in detail how that works in a little bit.
Sorry, for interrupting. I just wanted to add one point that I forgot. Actually, by reporting through the clearinghouse website, it gives you the possibility also to fit directly the worldwide database on sustainable consumption and production, because clearinghouse website initially, this is a database of worldwide experts. They're all working on sustainable consumption and production. So by reporting, you're at the same time feeding this huge database and also disseminating even more broadly all of your experiences, knowledges, and activities.
Thank you. And we'll go into detail exactly how you do that and what data becomes public and what data becomes only for the 10YSP Secretariat and Coordination Desk and Network to play with. So the indicators of success, I suggest that we do a Q&A session right after the indicators and the framework, just to make sure that you understand the methodology, and then we'll do a Q&A session a little bit longer at the end of this webinar as well. So the indicators of success is a framework created to guide and measure in a participatory way the selected impact and key milestones of the partners within the network in the global shift to FTP. So what the framework aims to support us in, all of us, not just the Secretariat, not just the Coordination Desk, but all of the actors and the stakeholders within the network, is to assess and improve performance in terms of informing the planning of activities and allocation of funds, and then to report and demonstrate progress, not just at HLTF and to the high-level political figures there and government officials there, but also to the wider public and to donors and to other stakeholders, government officials in the countries, national focal points, and so on. The 10YSP Indicators of Success framework, so the monitoring and reporting framework, is based on the 10YSP objectives, its functions, and its programs. It builds upon the Rio Plus 20 document, which is the founding document of the 10YSP. It builds on the SDGs and very closely linked to the SDGs, and I'll show you that in a little bit, and other international processes. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're not trying to, use measurements that you're not used to or ask for information that you're not used to providing in other fora. We're simply trying to collect as much as possible information about what is going on within the 10YSP network that supports the shift at national level, regional level, and global level towards more sustainable consumption and production patterns. So it's a non-exhaustive set of aggregated indicators, and I'll show you in a little bit what that means. The indicators are the type of activities that you can report on. The process and the tool, as Svetlana mentioned before, all of this now goes through an online tool and feeds into an online database that's accessible to your coordination desk at any time. The indicators. So the indicators, we have output level, outcome level, and impact level. So I just want to start with impact level because that's fairly new to everyone. So impact level is, we're now trying to understand better what is the impact of the 10YSP network. So we have this huge group of actors, 650 actors, around that number, within the 10YSP network. But what is the impact of the activities that are being done? And this year, we're not asking you for numbers on your GHG emissions. We're not asking for, percentage waste reduction numbers. We're simply asking you to track your activities to the different impacts. So when you do a training, for instance, that you say, okay, well, this training should help or hopefully will have an impact on waste reduction or water use efficiency or so on. So I see here that there's no sound from Mir. It seems that the sound setting is fine on their computer. Virginia, could you follow up with Neve and see if you can get the sound to work? Thank you, Virginia. We'll continue on. I hope everybody else can hear just fine. So as I said, the impact level this year will merely be a tracking exercise, so don't worry about, having numbers on this yet. For output and outcome level, these are the type of activities that you can report on. So as you can see here, you can report projects that support SCP, you can report trainings on SCP, you can report outreach and communication material, your knowledge resources, and technical tools. So that could be reports and technical apps, for instance. You can report policy instruments. You can report monitoring and reporting instruments. So monitoring and reporting, especially in relation to tourism, could, for instance, be standards. You can report education on FTP, so formal integration of FTP topics into education. You can report changes in practice, especially for you in sustainable tourism as well, where you work a lot with changing practices and behaviors. I'll show you some of the options of changes in practice that we have integrated into the tool, and you can see how that, including certifications and eco-labels and job creation, comes in here. And we report high-level commitments, so that's commitments to any resolutions or commitments to charters and so on. And you can report also coordination mechanisms. So coordination mechanism, for instance, is groupings where you discuss or where you exchange knowledge related to STP or sustainable tourism. And Svetlana just have something to add, no?
Just to support what Sophie is saying right now. So this outcome indicator, she just rapidly went through. At first glance, it will appear a little bit not very clear and precise. And what I wanted to encourage you to do is just check the reporting tool, because for each of these points, like SCP in policy instruments, education on SCP, how is different from training, for example, or SCP commitment, how is different from policy instruments, things like this. So the tool has very, very precise definitions, and they are very clear. And the Gender IT Secretariat with delegates from each program, they work a lot together to make sure that these definitions of each outcome indicator is clear enough for you and not confusing. So really, if still you have some interrogations, please don't hesitate to take a look on the tool, and I'm sure, 100% sure, it will become much more clear for you.
And I'll show you also, when we go inside the tool, I'll show you exactly what kind of guidance material you have in there, and how you do that inside the tool. Just also to highlight here that the output, outcome level, and impact level were developed not by the 10YP Secretariat, but within the 10YP Monitoring and Evaluation Task Force, and at impact level in close collaboration with the International Resource Panel and Lifecycle Initiative to ensure not only the SDG connections, but also a scientific basis for some of these indicators. Just move forward now to talk about actually the SDG indicators. So as you can see here, this is an example at impact level, but this is the case for also outcome and output level. Everything is based on the SDGs and is connected to the SDGs. Whether that's SDG indicators or targets, the goal is to ensure and to showcase also that SCP is an enabler for the other SDGs. And SDG 12, obviously, on sustainable consumption and production is the most prominent, but we still touch upon, through our indicators of success framework and through the work that you're doing in the 10YP network, we touch upon and influence all of the areas of the SDGs. The pilot reporting that was done earlier in the year, which was early in 2017, and actually your last portfolio exercise fed directly into this, and you'll see some numbers in a bit that you actually contributed to through your portfolio exercise last year. And this is just a quick example of showing how we used even the pilot version of the data last year. So this is an initial version of what could it look like when we have data like this, and how is it presented. And obviously, hoping through the online reporting tool this year that we'll gather a lot more information, we'll be able to do a lot more graphics and interactive visualizations of all of the activities that are happening globally on STP. So for the formal report to the high-level political forum in New York that's happening every summer, we submit it's a very standard resolution format report, so we can't do much in terms of graphics that looks very nice, but we can do good overviews of what's happening globally on STP. So one of those is the table here. It really shows that a lot is being done at output level on STP. We're doing a lot of projects. We're doing a lot of trainings, a lot of outreach and communication. There's a lot of production of knowledge, tools, and resources. However, we're not doing a lot, or we're at least not capturing a lot of your activities that are happening around monitoring and reporting, that are happening around FTP's integration into education practices, the changes in practice, the commitment, and the coordination mechanisms. And this is something we're hoping also, with the help of you in the network, that you're willing to highlight a bit more from your side this year. And I'll go through the tool, as I said before, to show you exactly how that works. From a more communications perspective, last year we did a short, or this year we did a short progress brief on the basis with the amount of data that we've received through the pilot reporting. This year, what we're going to be doing is a new annual report of the 10YFP, which is a larger communication product that will include best practices and innovative solutions. And best practices and innovative solutions are going to be found and identified through what has been reported through your portfolio exercise inside the new tool. So the tool is really an opportunity for you to increase your visibility and to be highlighted, not just for the high-level political forum, but also in terms of the communication material that will be sent out afterwards, whether that's the new annual report or other communication material being sent out from the 10YFP. So now we get to the reporting system, what we've all been waiting for on a Friday afternoon. I'll do this as quickly as possible, making sure that I go through all the points that will facilitate you having an easy process inside the tool. I just want to highlight a few things or reiterate a few things that I've said before. Your reporting is contributing to us understanding what's happening in the field of FTP globally, helping to drive change in the area of FTP. It helps us, it helps the network, it helps your coordination desk, your co-leads in identifying best practices, innovative solutions that they can replicate and scale up within the 10YFP network. So building on your already existing activities, how can we improve what is happening within the network by connecting different partners to each other? We can only do that if we know what's happening. It helps in assessing and improving the performance, including the allocation of funds, as I mentioned earlier as well. And then it helps us in reporting and demonstrating progress to show accountability, especially to actors at high level and to donors, really pushing and mobilizing political and financial support for the 10YFP network and its actors. More specifically, for 2018, I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but the High-Level Political Forum for Sustainable Development is part of the ECOSOC. And in 2018, they have a specific focus on SDG 12. SDG 12 is specifically, yes, I'm just going to, so ECOSOC is the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, just in case you were not aware. That is the only official body that 10YFP has to report to on an annual basis. But their high-level political forum that they have every single year, this year, or in 2018 specifically, they're going to be reviewing SDG 12. So that's the SDG specifically on sustainable consumption and production, under which 12.1 is dedicated specifically to the 10YFP. In addition, as some of you might be aware, and you might have received surveys on this, there's a 10YFP midterm review ongoing and the development of a new strategy. And everything you report and our understanding of what goes on inside the network and within you as partners helps us build the strategy and really influences the strategy and the direction we're going for the next 5 years. So this is also your opportunity to impact that. So as you know from emails that have been sent out to the network from the 10YFP Secretariat, the reporting started on October 17th and will go until January 15th. So as of today, there's a month left of reporting. As Svetlana has highlighted, and as I will continue to keep highlighting, the tool is very easy to use. The experiences that we've had so far and the feedback that we've had so far is that once people start using the tool and get familiar with it, I see people uploading new activities every 3 minutes. It's very quick to go through. As soon as you know what type of information you need to have ready, you can have that ready next to you, and you can just upload your activities fairly quickly through the system. So the first time it might look, overwhelming because it's a new system and you need to get to learn it and see it, and it's a technical tool, and that's why I'm taking you through it step by step. But once you get familiar with it, it really is an easier way to upload your activities. And moving forward in 2018, when we do the reporting process and your portfolio exercise next year, you'll be able to upload throughout the entire year activities. So you won't be forced to do it in the last quarter. You'll be able to do it throughout the whole year. So let's get into the technical side of it. I'm just going to go out of the PowerPoint here, and I'm going to go into Svetlana's account here. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the FTP Clearinghouse. So you go to www.ftpclearinghouse.org, and the FTP Clearinghouse is the global hub for everything that is happening on sustainable consumption and production. This is where the entire 10YP network and other actors as well comes together and puts in all of their information. So once you get in here and you want to start reporting, you need to have an account on the FTP Clearinghouse, and that's very straightforward to do. You get to the front page. It looks a little bit different than this. I'm already logged in here. You click My FTP, and it will automatically ask you to log in. So if you have an account, you simply just log into your account. If you don't have an account yet, you click, there will be a big button here on the side that will tell you to create an account. And creating an account is just as easy as creating an account for your LinkedIn or your Facebook. It's very straightforward. There's a few questions, like your email address and who you are, and then you're inside. Once you're inside and you click on your My FTP, once you're logged in, you get to a page similar like this. So this is Svetlana's backend page. That's her personal side on the FTP Clearinghouse. This is only visible to her. In here, we have a new section now called 10YP Reporting. And if we click on this, it takes her to her reporting page. So Svetlana hasn't uploaded any public initiatives on the FTP Clearinghouse. But as I said before, the FTP Clearinghouse is really the hub for what is happening globally on FTP. And that means that you can upload your initiatives, so your umbrella initiatives, under which you're doing different activities, projects, and so on. You can upload that publicly to the Clearinghouse by clicking right here. If you prefer to report activities either that are not related to an umbrella initiative, or if you prefer to keep everything not public, you can click on Report an Activity Not Related to an Uploaded Initiative, and you can report your activities there. I will suggest, however, that if you do have umbrella projects that you also want to increase the visibility for, that you upload them first as an initiative, and then you start reporting. I'll show you what it looks like quickly here from Michael from SFS, has kindly let me borrow his account for these purposes. I'll show you quickly what it looks like for him because he's already uploaded initiatives. So he's uploaded a few initiatives like the WWF Meet Guide to the public database. And that means that he's able to see everything he's publicly uploaded back here. He can see who are the other authors, which are other people you can coordinate your reporting with. You can add other authors very easily here as well. You can ask us to add other authors for you. And then you can report your activities, your trainings, your changes in practice, your monitoring reporting directly as an activity under that initiative. Everything that you report through these green buttons back here, so this report an activity, or in the button where you still have he has a lot of initiatives. In the bottom here where you still have the button to report an activity not related to an uploaded initiative. All of this that you report through the tool I'm going to show you now is not public. It goes to your coordination desk, and then they do a quality assurance process. They have a month to do a quality assurance process to ensure that everything that has been submitted is okay to go to the Secretariat. Then it goes to the 10YP Secretariat for analysis, and then we do analysis at aggregated levels. So we aggregate all the activities, and we identify and showcase best practices. If you're picked out as a best practice, one of your activities or your initiatives are picked out as best practices or innovative solutions to be highlighted further, then we will get in contact with you to ensure that that is okay for you to be featured in this way. But just to say that to help you with your process, we really do recommend, if you're okay with having your initiatives publicly featured, that when you see this page, you click Upload an Initiative first. As I said before, in case you don't want to do this, you can also report an activity not related to an uploaded initiative. I'll show you from in here what it looks like when you report under an initiative. So let's say I've uploaded just now Fights Against Food Waste initiative, and I want to report a change in practice under this. So I report an activity, and now we get to this reporting side. We ask you to please read the information in the beginning. It's similar to what I've been saying now, but it reiterates the importance of reporting. And then down here, there's a few tips and guidance on how you report. So there's a 6-minute video that will take you through the technical steps that I'm going through now. There's a step-by-step guide, which has screenshots that will do the same, take you step-by-step through the process. And then there's a recorded online training, excuse me, a reported online training similar to the one that we're doing now that was done earlier in the year that is also available to you. Also, if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you will always be able to access the full methodology document, the step-by-step guide that I mentioned just before, and a Need Help button, which takes you to a page that has all the contact information of your focal point. So your focal point in the case of the tourism program is Svetlana. So it has her contact information in here. So you're inside the tool. You've decided I want to report an activity. We said we wanted to report an activity under just now. So we click report an activity. And as you can see, some of this information is already filled out for me. So that's very nice. So the name of my organization, my name, this is obviously Michael's account. My name is not Michael. And the email address. So you don't have to, keep doing this every time you go and have to report an activity. The only thing you have to do on this first page is say whether you're a lead, co-lead, or part of the program coordination desk, if you're a MAC member, or if you're a partner of your program. So for this purpose, I'll just say I'm a MAC member. I will click next. And then here we have to scroll up. And here, because I am reporting directly under an initiative, it already has pulled my title of my initiative. So it already knows, oh, this is the initiative that I'm reporting under. So this you can just leave the way that it is. So what do you wish to report on? So as you can see here, the list of activities that you can report on are actually exactly the same as the indicators that we went through in the PowerPoint before. So you have your projects, you have your trainings, you have your outreach and communication activities, so site events, any press you've done, any communication products that you've done, your production and use of knowledge resources and technical tools, so your research reports and your guidelines and your guideline reports and your technical tools like your applications or software or online tools. And then you have your policy instruments, your monitoring and reporting instruments. So as you can see, if you hover over here, you can see some examples of what that could be, and I'll show you also now how you can see more examples, even more of a definition. There's the formal integration into education. There's the changes in practice. There's the high-level commitments we mentioned before, and then there's the coordination mechanism. If you report on an initiative here, like I did when I clicked on report an activity under my already uploaded initiative, you can also report the impact of the initiative at the initiative level. So not at the single activity, but at the overall project that you're doing. You can say, okay, well, this overall project has a very specific impact that we want to highlight, and you can highlight that here. So as I said before, I wanted to report a change in practice. So I'm going to click on change in practice. And not only do I have the hover over box here that gives me the initial information, but as soon as I click on one of these options, I get this full description down here and a link to an even fuller description and more, methodology worded description. If I click on one of the other options up here, the box down here will change, and you can see the different descriptions. So you're not locked in just because you click on one of these. You can change your mind. So here we can see, okay, I want to see what is an example of a change in practice. So a change in practice could be sustainability improvements. So that could be my sustainability reports, for instance. Or it could be the changes that we've done to meet standards. So we've implemented certain standards at my hotel, so maybe I want to report that. If we've obtained any certifications or eco-labels, or if we've facilitated green application, facilitated job creation of green jobs, for instance. If we've worked with small, medium enterprises and facilitated market access for them, or if we've changed cultural practices. So this could be examples of a change in practice. As we mentioned before, something that could be interesting for you as well would be monitoring and reporting instrument. So let's just see what that means. A monitoring and reporting instrument could be your sustainability report. So your sustainability report, not that you've changed your practice by integrating the aspects of your sustainability reporting, but that you have an annual sustainability report as a monitoring instrument that you've implemented. Your certification systems. If you have full accounting systems used by governments, for instance. So basically, if you're implementing or have created monitoring reporting guidelines, then you can put it in here. For instance, this framework that we're going through now is a monitoring and reporting instrument that we have reported from the Secretariat side this year. So that's a few examples. But let's go back to changes in practice. Yes, Selena.
Just wanted to precise that what software right now is showing, basically, there is a way to report two ways, just to make sure that it's clear for everybody, because sometimes like we're using terminology that is different from one program to another. So there is a way to report from the scratch. So you just go, you create yourself an account on FTP Clearinghouse. You see directly this area where you can report. You can go there, and yeah, thank you, Sophie. And you can start reporting from any initiative you want from scratch. But also, some of you have already an account on FTP Clearinghouse, and some of you have been uploading different initiatives, tools, etc. to the Clearinghouse for more than 1 year already. So for those who did this, you can proceed as Sophie just showed. So basically, basically link one initiative to the reporting. And for example, here you see initiatives that were uploaded on the Clearinghouse by one of the network members. So he's like, yeah, okay, I made a small article about my guidelines on meat. So now actually I can report and give more details about these guidelines, and this is what Sophie showed to you. But it's not necessary. You don't have to go through this path. You can just go straight and start reporting from the scratch on information that is not on the Clearinghouse at all. I just wanted to make sure that it's clear for everybody and that there is no confusion that you need to have something ready prior to reporting. You don't. You can just create an account right now and go start reporting on things you think are relevant for the network. I can quickly show you here that if I click on this button down here, so if you have this view and you don't want to upload your initiatives first, which is perfectly fine, we offer this as an option to increase your visibility of your activities, but it's also fine to just report your activities and not upload first. So, and when you report your activities, yeah, sorry?
Yes, this is Nina from the audio. Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry to jump in, but I just find Svetlana's clarification as very pertinent for our network. Actually, our network has been working on the portfolio for 2 years now, as you mentioned in the beginning, but we were using, for example, last year a SurveyMonkey mechanism. So I might be wrong, but I very much doubt that our actors have already engaged in uploading many initiatives. In this case, it will be probably better and easier for everyone to get started, that we just prioritize our focus on the reporting from scratch, as Svetlana suggested.
Thank you, Virginia. I think that's a really good point and very specific to your network as well, that for you, if you do not have anything up here already, feel free to just go ahead and just use this button, and then the visibility side of uploading your initiative, we can work on later down the line. That's not a requirement for you to report this year. It's not a requirement that you upload anything publicly now. The only thing that we ask that you do is you go in and you report your activities, and you can simply do that, as Virginia just said, by using the lowest button in here and report your activity not related to anything that you've uploaded. It doesn't make a difference I will show you exactly that it looks exactly the same way. Same as before, you have your introduction. It fills out the information for you. Now it's Svetlana, not Michael, because this is a different account. So here I'll say lead and co-lead, and we click next, and it's exactly the same page here. You get the opportunity to choose your activities. So as we said before, we wanted to report a change in practice, so let me click on this again here, and I'll do it from in here from now on so that you can see what it looks like when you use this button down here. It looks almost the same. Yeah.
Just wanted to underline and to draw your attention on how cool this looks. I really love this part because here you have the link of all of the indicators to which you can report. And as I mentioned in the introduction, it may seem confusing what is high-level FTP commitment. And you just click on it before you decide to report or not on it, and click yes. And you just have the definition that is quite precise. And you know if you have the relevant information or not before you start reporting. And this is, I think, extremely useful, and this is why I just wanted to draw your attention on this to make sure that from the very beginning you will just know what information you can report and what information you can't.
But then there's also a point here under each of them that says this is what you cannot report on this.
Yeah, and this is
if you have any doubts, if you have any doubts, just read this section here. And if you continue to have doubts, don't panic. We're always here to support you. You contact Svetlana, or you contact me directly, and we'll make it work and make sure that you have all the understanding and the support that you need. So let's say we're reporting on a change in practice. The first question I get is the activity title. So I would put in here what the change in practice was. So for instance, it would be that we now have this certain certification in our hotel. I would say then we have the questions on the activity in the NYP context. So here it would be the tourism program, obviously. And for the tourism program specifically, there's a question on which of the tourism program work areas is this advancing. So you would have to read these if you're not familiar with them, and then click what is supporting your activity. There's also an opportunity to relate it to other NYP programs. So for instance, if you've developed the activity in collaboration with other programs, or if you think that your activities would be interesting to build upon in collaboration with other programs, you can highlight it here and you will get the option to explain why that is. For the activity attribution, what you can do is you can report core activities and affiliated activities. And there's a description of what that means right here. And if you're unsure of whether your activity is core or affiliated, you just click other. And what will happen in the quality assurance process is that your coordination desk, so Svetlana and Virginia and Mohammed, will go through all of the data they've received from you, all of the activities they've received, and they will make sure that these activity attribution is tracked correctly.
So just to clarify, because once again the terminology core affiliated is not clear for all of the programs, because from one program to another the terminology changes. So basically what I would just say, just click affiliated activities. For us, for our program, affiliated activities means exactly the same thing as portfolio activities. So basically, activities that you put on which you report as activities contributing to the objectives of our program. This is how we've been doing this for 2 years already, and this is how we want to continue. Basically, we don't attribute your success, we're just showcasing everything that you're doing, and we are showcasing through your reporting the global contribution of the network.
And this is different from each program. So each program has a different approach to this attribution question. And this is why we do these separate trainings as well, is to make sure that within your specific program that you're aware of the differences in the reporting system. So for you, as Svetlana says, please just click affiliated activity. If you're still unsure, you can always click other, and we'll fix that in the end. But otherwise, just feel free to click affiliated activity. Core activities in this sense for the FTP program would then be what the coordination desk is doing. So a training like the training that we are doing for you today. But just keep to the affiliated activities here. And just to say, as Svetlana mentioned as well, this is an opportunity for you to showcase your progress. We're not trying to take ownership of anything. We're just trying to help you get a greater reach and to be able to understand how we can help you connect with the right actors and the right mechanisms to be able to upscale and replicate some of your activities and really build upon the existing efforts that you're doing. Anyway, let's get back to the point here. So we're reporting on a change in practice. There's some activity-specific questions for that. For most of the activities, you have a maximum of 5 activity-specific questions, and most of them are multiple choice. So, for instance, here you click and you choose your reporting year. You can report everything back until the start of your program. So if there's anything that you felt you forgot to report through the portfolio exercises for the last couple of years, you can still report that this year as well. Also, everything that was reported through the portfolio exercise last year and included in the pilot reporting is already in the system for you. So don't worry about that. You don't have to re-report anything from last year. This is a new process. All the new stuff that you've done, you can put in. Number of practices and processes change. Click here, the type of changes. So this is what we were talking about before. That could be labeling, theme, certification standards. It could be job creation. It could be changes in technologies that you're using, changes in systems that you have, and so on. And then you can also give an explanation of the change in practice, because change in practice, we're aware, can be very different from place to place. So this is really your opportunity to put in the information here. Then you have who led the implementation. So that's who was the actor that was the lead actor. Who did you collaborate with? So which organizations or governments did you collaborate with? Then there's the funding and budget section. So funding and budget is always optional. So you don't have to put in this information. It's only if you're comfortable with sharing it. Then there's some questions on the, scope and location. So there's questions about the sectors. And as before, if you hover over, as soon as you see something that's bold with a line underneath and you hover over, you can see the descriptions of what that means. So for tourism, you actually have one specific over here, but it will be very useful to see, okay, if you're working both in the tourism sector with environmental services, for instance, flood prevention or conservation, for instance, conservation would be up here. Then the scope of the activity and the specific location of your implementation. And if you click here on a region, you get the opportunity to click the questions or the countries, and you can also click check all in case it's the entire region. The activity impact, as I mentioned earlier, is a simple tracking exercise this year. So you have your activity, you're doing a change in practice. The change in practice means that we're using our waste, for instance, and our water use. So I click these two, and we ask you to just choose the 3 main impacts. So think about what are the 3 main impacts that your activity might have. If you want, and if you do have any numbers on how these impacts are being measured, you're welcome to provide that if you want to, but that's optional. The last part is your narrative report. So that's what was the objective of your activity, so for instance, what is the objective of changing this practice? What do you hope to gain from this change in practice? And what are the expected or achieved accomplishments as well? And we have some guidance questions like, what are you most proud of? Did you face any challenges and how do you overcome these? Really, this is your opportunity. This narrative section is your opportunity to highlight your activities in case that you think that there are best practices or innovative solutions that you want to have highlighted more. One example is that I was contacted earlier today by one of our partners that was uploading some documents and needed some support on that. I helped support on uploading the documents, and by doing so, I actually had a look at his documents, and I was like, whoa, very inspired. And that inspired me to send it to a communication consultant and say, have a look at this because this is actually interesting for us to build on moving forward. And that was simply by them attaching documents down here, photos and attachments. You can also link to websites or YouTube page, or if it's a technical tool, you can link directly to the tool website. So there's really a lot of options for you to highlight your activity down here. I just want to show you, because changes in practice is an outcome level indicator. I just want to show you what it looks like at a training. Yeah, exactly. So at the training, you have the same, description that we had before. You still ask the activity title, the same questions about the program and the 10 ISP, where we agreed that we will say affiliated activity for the FTP partners. And then you have some activity-specific questions. As I said before, this is a maximum of 5 questions. And here you can see it's mostly very quick questions. How many days of trainings did you do? How many participants were there? If you have any information on how many women and men, you can put that in. You don't have that, that's fine as well. And then where were the training participants from? What kind of stakeholder group were they from? And then, again, the implementation questions. Who was the lead? Who did you collaborate with? The funding question that is optional is again here. And the sectors, the scope of activity, and the location. There's also an opportunity, so sometimes for trainings, it might have been an online MOOC course or an online webinar. So there's also the opportunity to say that it was an online activity. Again, there's the activity impact. So we did a training here on how to improve your energy use in your safari lodge, for instance. I'm just making up things here. I don't know that much about tourism. But for instance, it was a training on improving energy use efficiency, and we're hoping through that will have an impact on the energy use of the participants that were at the training and at our facilities. And at the same time, energy use efficiency is closely related to our CO2 emissions, so we'll click that one as well. There's also an option here if you're not sure about the impact or you don't think that your activity has a specific impact, you can also click none of the above. That's also an option for you. The narrative report, again, looks the same way as before. You can attach, for instance, your participant list or your PowerPoint or whatever material you had, training material that you want to add. Simply at the end of your activity, every time you've gone through these different questions, you click at submit at the end. And when you click submit, you come to a thank you page and it will say, thank you for reporting this activity as, a training for FTP. And then you'll receive a confirmation email. And in the confirmation email, you'll see a quick overview of what you've reported. There will be a PDF version of everything all the information that you put inside the tool. So you can review the PDF or send it to your colleagues if they need to approve it. There will be an edit link, so a link that you can click directly on, and it will take you to back to your submission, and you can edit everything that you need and just go to the end and click submit again. When you do that, you receive a new confirmation with the same edit link. The edit link doesn't change. It's very nice to edit. It helps you keeping engaged with your activities that you reported, and also allows you to report it, get a paper version, a PDF version of what you reported, get it verified by your colleagues, and make any changes if they have any edits to it. Go in directly and do the edits, and then resubmit again. Or if you want to report something now that you don't have the final information on, you go back and you add the final information at the end. For instance, if some new accomplishments happened last minute, you just go in, put that information in there, as long as it's before January 15th. It also tells you what I mentioned before, which is that your coordination desk will be doing a quality assurance process. So the quality assurance process will take place over the course of a month, and it will be the coordination desk going through all your activities and contacting you in case any edits are needed. So don't worry if there's, if you are unsure about anything, just report it and they will go through it and make sure that everything looks okay. So that's actually the whole process through the tool. I think we'll go to Q&A now. I see we don't have a lot of time, but I would like to just, if you're all willing to stay for an extra 5 minutes, just hear if there are any questions. And also just keep in mind that you can always contact us by email or by Skype, and we're available to help you out at any time. So feel free to raise any immediate questions you might have now by unmuting yourself or raising your hand or writing in the chat. So any questions, please go ahead.
Sophie, this is Virginia from Universal.
Thank you. Go ahead.
More than a question, is just I'm taking advantage to remind the members, our partners, that in our program we have also been working on the annual magazine for the past 2 years. This year, the NYSP Secretariat is also planning to produce communications materials based on based on the information that will be reported by every program. But for us, this is common practice already, so just to reassure everyone that our program will continue producing the annual magazine. It is therefore very important that we get your input so we can select the best stories and feature you through that platform. And also just a final comment, maybe reiterating a bit what Sophie and Svetlana said. We all feel committed and want to contribute to the implementation of the SDGs. We know that through the 10YFP Sustainable Tourism Program, we have the possibility to advance Sustainable Development Goal number 12 in particular. And I think we are all aware that with the magnitude of the task ahead of us, we cannot work in isolation. So the portfolio is the tool that brings you the possibility to aggregate your efforts with everyone else, with all of the other like-minded organizations that are connected here today and those that are not, so that we can jointly report to the greater cause. So I really encourage you to join us in this exercise, and of course you will be hearing from us in the coming days from the coordination desk. Thanks. That's all from my side, Sophie.
Thank you, Virginia. And this is a good point. Also, as she said, this not only goes to the 10YFP-wide communication products, but is also the basis for your annual magazine and for any communication products done by the FTP program. I also want to highlight that the annual magazine of the FTP is probably one of the best communication products coming out of the 10YFP at the current moment. So going in and supporting that and being part of that, as many of you already know and have been for the past years, is really, really a good way to increase your visibility and to get the word out there and help people and help governments in shifting to FTP. I just wanted to see here, there's a question in the chat, whether we can share the email. I assume that that's the support email. So we'll be sending a follow-up email to this meeting with a link to this recording that we have done now, and with all the guidance material once again, just so you have everything in one place. And we'll put in there as well Svetlana's email and my email, so you can contact us directly if you have any issues. Do we have any other questions at this time? Feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself or send the question in the chat.
Hi, I'm Gloria, UI International Climbing and Mountaineering Federation. Thank you for all the explanation. I have a quick question. We were admitted in July, so we are very new, and therefore I would like to know for the reporting year, should I insert activities in the current year because we started to be a partner just recently, or should I choose a year when we start actually a project and activity?
So Gloria, thank you so much for this question and welcome to the program. So it's really up to you. For us this year, obviously the priority is about projects that were implemented this year. But as Sophie mentioned in the beginning of her presentation, you have also the opportunity to report on projects that were done previous years, or on tools that were done previous years, or even projects that started 1 year before and still ongoing. It's really up to you and up to the time that you have and that you can use to this exercise. So the priority, we would prefer that the priority is for this year, but feel free to give us information about everything you've done in previous years as well, maybe 3 previous years. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, actually, we could do both. I mean, I could do both because our projects, they started 1-2 years ago, another one a few 3 years ago. So, and they changed. I mean, we improved during the years. So I could write also the changes.
Sure, this would be really great.
Thank you, Gloria. I think one point that I want to get through here is that obviously this year, because it's 2017, we want to present the newest information, but we really do want to capture as much as possible from your projects going backwards as well. Because it does help with this mapping exercise that we were talking about earlier of identifying best practices and innovative solutions if we know more about what you're doing inside your organization. So if you prioritize 2017 and upload that first, and if you have the time this year before January 15th, very much feel free to upload as much as you want from the other years as well. Thank you, Gloria. We're going to move on and see if there's another question. I think, Karen, you unmuted yourself before. Do you have a question, Karen?
Hello, this is Karen Alvin from Alvin & Co. and the Heritage Tourism and Hospitality Conferences. Thank you. This is all very clear, I think. I have one question about country of implementation. I'm organizing conferences on heritage and tourism, bringing together professionals and academics. And the question, country of implementation, is always a little bit confusing because the conference, for example, this year took place in Finland, but of course the participants come from many countries. How am I going to deal with this part of your questionnaire?
Thank you, Karen. I think the way that we've tried to deal with that inside the tool is that we have the scope of the activity. So if the training is relevant on a national, regional, or global level, you can tack that here. So if you have participants, for instance, from many, many countries, you can click global here. If for the location of the implementation, you can click here the country that you then had the specific training in. It depends also on what kind of, if it's a global training in the sense of a webinar that goes out to many people when you're unsure which countries they exactly fit in, these sort of things, I would suggest that you do it this way by saying global and then saying that it was an online activity. If it's a training that's specifically where you're gathering people from, 3 African countries, for instance, I would say that it has a regional scope because it's African, it's 3 African countries, and then I would click the 3 African countries that you're choosing here. I hope that is clear to you. It really depends on the type of training that you're doing, how to approach this, and it's a very, very good question, actually.
Okay. I'm not quite sure whether I'll manage with your answer, but I'll just do that and come back to you if I find myself confused anyway.
Sorry, I suggest to just take your example right now. So you had an activity in Finland, right?
Yes.
You had a conference, but with participation of international stakeholders.
Exactly.
So you have here on the screen. Do you see the screen with the tool right now?
I do.
So here is written scope of the activity. So you have international participants. You don't know exactly from where, or you don't know how much. You can't specify. So you just say global because they're international. But the location of the implementation, so the location of the conference was in Europe. So you click Europe, and actually you have all of the countries that appear, and you will see Finland here, and you just click Finland. So basically by answering this, you show that the scope was international, so you had a lot of international participants, but at the same time you're showing exactly geographically where the conference took place.
Okay. Good. I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for everyone else to clarify that the difference comes in whether it's a conference on a global scale, or if it's a webinar on a global scale, or if it's a very specific training that you're doing either inside a country or, specifically in a region. Then there's a little bit of a different approach to this location of implementation. Again, as I said before, if you have any doubts, do what you feel most comfortable with, and then the coordination desk will go through this information. Oh yeah, and also Virginia is highlighting something here that's actually a very good point. A conference is not a training, but I don't think that the question right now was related specifically to a training.
Yeah. It's just an example, Virginia, in a word.
For the conferences, that's outreach and communication activities.
Yes, absolutely.
It was just an example because trainings and conferences are often where you have a lot of people from a lot of different places attending. So that's why I use that as an example. Great. Thank you, Karen. Do you have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Yes, move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Very good question. Do we have any other questions at this time? As mentioned before, you're also very welcome to send us an email afterwards, and we'll send out the contact information.